Hey friends, what's up? It's Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you are doing well. Ever been told to check your privilege? It typically happens in the middle of a debate about social injustice or racial inequality, and is often used as a way to shut down the argument of your opponent, kind of insinuating that they are too privileged to understand the point that you are trying to make. And it's often true. The advantages that we have had in life contribute to both our opinions and actions, and the lack of disadvantages in certain areas keep us from fully understanding struggles others face. Take me, for example. Yes, I'm Black, if you didn't realize. Hi, hello, welcome. And I can easily relate to my fellow Black females when it comes to discrimination or inequality at the work or school, or things like dealing with unfair beauty standards. But an area that many Black people have to deal with that I have had the privilege to not deal with is living in poverty. Living in neighborhoods where there is a constant threat of gang violence, drugs, over-policing is an experience that many people of color have to deal with. And as someone who grew up middle class in a stable home with both my parents who were able to not only support me while I was growing up, but also for several years after I moved out, it makes it very difficult for me to fully understand that kind of experience. An experience that many people who have the same skin tone as me have to live through. I can be sympathetic, empathetic even, but because of my middle class privilege, I'll never fully understand. Another privilege I have is being a cisgender heterosexual female. It's a privilege because I fall into what is considered normal in our society as opposed to those who identify in the LGBTQ community. They deal with certain discrimination and unfair treatment that I will never face. And again, while I can be sympathetic to what they struggle with on a daily basis and do what I can to support them, because of my cisgender heterosexuality privilege, I'll never fully understand what it's like. And that's the thing with privilege. In order to have the advantage, someone always has to have a disadvantage. Case in point, white privilege. I know it's just me in this room, but I definitely felt the shift in tension in the air at the mention of white privilege. It's a touchy subject, I know, but I think it's because there's so much confusion about what it actually means. So let's clear that up right from the get-go. White privilege is not the suggestion that white people have never struggled or live an easy life, and it is not the assumption that everything a white person has ever accomplished is unearned. To my white viewers out there, know that your struggles are valid. Anything that you have worked hard for is valid. Having white privilege does not take away from that. And if anyone is trying to tell you otherwise, they are in the wrong. I think it's key to understand that you can be both privileged in some areas in life and underprivileged in others. Both can be true at once and can impact your life at the same time. So if white privilege isn't this conspiracy that white people have had their life handed to them on a silver platter, what is it? I think a great definition comes from author Frances E. Kendall, who described white privilege as having greater access to power and resources than people of color who are in the same situation do. A real surface level example of this that can be found in our day-to-day life is actually shopping for beauty and hair care products. As a white person, you can go into any beauty department, drugstore, and pretty much be guaranteed that you will find products that are catered to both your skin tone and hair texture. As a Black person, I'm not always guaranteed that. If a store does have some, it's usually a very small section that is labeled ethnic hair care. And it's usually stocked with kind of mediocre brands, or even better, they're stocked with the big name brands that you see kind of in white hair care, but you know, they put a label on their products that say for women of color. This has definitely gotten better over the years with the resurgence of natural hair pride in Black women. But the point is, it's considered normal to have goods that are catered to the beauty and hair care needs of white people, while sectioning off or not even having products that are catered to the needs of other races. And I know this example may come off as superficial, but it is an example of how, as a white person, you have the ability to move through your day-to-day with the expectation that your needs will be generally met. While many people of color move through their day-to-day knowing that their needs are afterthoughts at best or considered an inconvenience at worst. And that power of normal expands beyond general beauty shopping. Turn on the news, a TV show, a movie, YouTube, browse your Explore page on Instagram. As a white person, you are more likely to see positive portrayals of people who look like you. You're also more likely to be treated as an individual rather than a representative or a shocking exception to some racially based stereotype. Emmanuel Acho, who has a series on YouTube called Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man, which you should definitely check out, kind of explained this idea really perfectly when he was having a conversation with Matthew McConaughey in his first episode. I'm gonna be paraphrasing, but essentially what he was saying, that as a Black man, whenever he leaves his house, he makes the conscious effort to be as inconspicuous as possible, which I imagine is extremely difficult for him because he is like 6 foot something, very fit Black man. But he mentions that if, say he gets on an elevator and there is someone of the opposite sex, he will make the effort to quickly hit the button to whatever floor he's going to, stand as far away as he can from this person on the elevator, and then be the first one off as soon as it gets to his floor. Also, if he's walking down the street and he happens to see a white woman coming towards him, he will make the effort to cross the street before reaching her. Basically going above and beyond in order to keep a low profile and help people feel comfortable as much as he can whenever he leaves the house, because of the racial stereotypes of Black men. And his explanation really struck me because it made me realize that as a Black woman, I too kind of shrink into myself whenever I'm out in public. I try not to bring any unnecessary attention to myself. When I go into shops, I make a conscious effort to always have my hands in plain sight. It's also why I typically take smaller bags, and even though I hate to, I always get a receipt. Whenever I have to interact with someone that I don't know, I make a conscious effort to be overly friendly, even if that person is being somewhat cold or even rude to me, because I know the stereotypes of Black women, us being loud and angry and conniving and ghetto. And I know the minute I express any feelings other than sunshining positivity, I will immediately be hit with that label. White people have the privilege to be seen as individuals and judged as such, while many Black and people of color are often seen and judged as representatives of their race. If one person acts negatively in a certain way, we're all assumed to act in that way, especially when these stereotypes are reinforced not only in the news, but in entertainment and social media. The internet is both a blessing and a curse, as it can open you up to different people and ideas, but it can also create bubbles of misinformation and exacerbate racial stereotypes even more. And what makes it even harder is this privilege is often invisible to white people, because it seems reasonable to be able to go through your day-to-day having your general needs met. And it seems logical to be able to prove yourself and be judged individually rather than immediately stereotyped based on your skin color. But those privileges are often not granted to people of color, and sometimes with dire consequences. And this is the complicated truth of white privilege. It's both unconsciously enjoyed and consciously perpetuated. It's both surface level and deeply embedded in American society. While having white privilege and recognizing it is not in and of itself racist, the privilege exists because of historic and enduring systemic racism. Now you may be thinking, all right, fine, Ashley, I have white privilege, but what do you expect me to do about it? It's not my fault I was born white. I didn't ask to be a part of this problem. Why is the blame being put on me? And to that I say, nobody's mad at you for being white. Just like nobody should be mad at me for being black. Nobody is shaming you. Nobody's trying to make you feel guilty. Nobody wants you to apologize or feel pity for those who weren't born white. Nobody should blame you for being a part of the majority, just like nobody should blame me for being a minority. What is being asked is that you acknowledge this privilege exists and not only treat other races with the respect you wish to be treated yourself, but to also stand up for that fair treatment and justice. Don't let jokes or off-color comments from friends, co-workers, or family slide by without a challenge. Continue to educate yourself and make the effort to put yourself in someone else's shoes. It's going to be uncomfortable, and while we are in no way asking white people to be our saviors, we as people of color can't be expected to achieve this progress on our own. Because as I said in my video on systemic racism, this is about challenging and dismantling the system. A system that is designed to profit those at the top at the expense of those at the bottom. If we want to push society forward in being more fair and just to all its citizens, regardless of race or gender or religion or sexuality or whatever, we have to be in this together. But those are just my thoughts. Feel free to leave yours in the comments down below. And that's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you would like to see more. If you haven't yet, please go register to vote. There will be a link in the description box down below for you to do so, as well as some social justice programs that I think you may find interesting. Thanks again for watching, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye.